Hello, my name is Hayden Fritz with HK Fabrication. Today we're going to do a tutorial and walkthrough of our do-it-yourself roll-out wheel kits. So our price is $250. That includes shipping and taxes. You will need to supply a 4-lug hub, also a 1 1/16 spindle, and an 8-inch 3-jaw lathe chuck. We're going to drop links for everything in the comment or the description below. Tractor Supply is, your best bet for your hub and your spindle. There are cheaper places to get them, but for ease, we list all the part numbers and everything for Tractor Supply there. Amazon and eBay for a lathe chuck, you can find them around $100, $110. Most people are in these kits around $450 after all said and done. And as many of y'all know, that is very cheap for a really slick rollout wheel kit. So let's get started. We got kits ready to ship also. So this is how your kit's gonna pretty much show up. Everything's gonna be boxed up, shrink wrapped. So we got a 8-inch piece, 2x2 quarter wall tubing. We're gonna throw this in our vise here. I'm going to start out with these pieces, and then also this and this one. Do not confuse this piece with another very similar piece. You can tell one has a curve and one has a straight edge. The curve is going to go on to this. So all you're going to do, curved part is going to be out. Fit it up, all the slots and tabs, super easy to install. Can't really mess it up. Throw a little tack on it. Jump over to the other side. Pull it off, flip it over. This piece also curved side out. Get everything nice, snug there. Squeeze it together if you got to. Or get it tacked together. Slip it right here under square tubing. Pretty snug fit. So from there, you can come over here to your leveler pieces. So, also, once again, don't get these confused with this smaller piece. These are going to be for your leveler pieces. These are going to slip in here, and then this one here. These little tack. You can do this right here on the workbench. So the piece, just slip right on over it. Make sure you're seated down real good on there. So ours will come. We're gonna have 5 pins, and we got a good example here. Most people, they like to cut the handles off, just that way it's a little bit similar design. There ain't a whole lot of weight on there, especially when you're gonna be pulling these pins out. You're welcome to leave the handles on. Simple, just take a zip disc, whatever, cut that out. They're 2-piece there. All right. So you're just gonna slip this right on there. take your pins. In there. And our kits, same way like our last style, they do go to a 45 and a 2G. So we'll show that again once we got everything put together. So that's what I'm saying here. You can cut these handles off or leave them on there, whatever you want to do. Alright, so next up, we got these other regular pieces that our brake's going to attach to up here on top. So this piece here is going to mount right here on the front. Get it tacked up. And this slot and tab design, they will kind of self-square themselves, but it never hurts to check. We're a little bit out right there. And I'll just tap it around a couple other pieces here. A lot better there. And it ain't gotta be perfect. Once you put this other side piece in there, it'll help square it up a lot. Yeah, if you're a little bit out, you can tell we are. You know, you'll have a good gap there. You can just pull it together and then tack her up. That's all we'll do there. This piece just slips right in here. Your next pin's in there. Now we got your brake piece. Make sure whenever you do this, you got the hole towards the back for your bolt. If not, you put it on here. This is where your brake's gonna be hitting for your bolt. If you got it up here, there ain't nothing for that to hit on. So just make sure you got the hole to the back. If not, you're gonna be cutting apart. Ain't no sense in that. This is the part that's gonna hit your hub. It's just gonna slip right in here. Oh, little out square again. If you do get out square, it ain't the end of the world, and you just need to get it to where you can pull it apart a little bit. Where you can get that part in there. So it'll self-square itself. And a good example here, messing it up, shows you how to do it if you do it. So once you get it beat out a little bit, you can get that piece in there. That's all it is, just butt it up, get a couple tacks on it. Next pin here, just gonna slip it right in there. So you're gonna be supplied with two regular nuts and also a 3.5 inch bolt and a 3 inch bolt. So you're just simply gonna slip your wheel on there, give it a couple tacks. If you get ready to weld it out, you can. So your 3-inch bolt is going to go up here for your brake. Your 3.5 is going to be for your leveler. So I like to thread this nut on there quite a ways. That way whenever you got to do your brake, you can slip it down in there and make sure you got plenty of clearance for it to thread good. Put the nut on the top, because if not, you won't have the clearance down there at the bottom for it to go back enough. Come back to your 3.5-inch bolt here. Make sure you don't use the nylons that are used for rolling your hub spacers and your ring together. Everything's put together. All the bolts and nuts are all threaded together. That way, you ain't mixing nothing up. So this is just gonna slip right in here. And on this, you can put the nut on this side or the back side. We'll go ahead and thread it on the back side just to give you a good example. This one doesn't matter so much because you're not tight on the clearance like you are on the brake. Throw this one in here. Kind of makes it a little bit easier here, a little bit slicker. So just simply pull out on your bolt here. That'll get you good and lined up, square. Couple little tacks there, and put my handle on this one. I'll go ahead and throw that on there real quick. And if you want to, depending on how, great things about these kits, if you want to put a whole lot of time into it, you can make, this thing as slick as you want to. You can cut the heads off these, weld it on there, sand it all flush, sand all your welds flush. It all comes down to how much time you want to put into it. No matter what, you're going to be in these so much cheaper than any other rollout wheel out there. And that's kind of why we're doing these. It's just however much effort you want to put into it, that's how slick the kit's going to be. Either way, it's still a nice kit. So, like I was saying, you can cut the head off, weld it flush, sand it all down. Just for representation, we're just going to tack it on there. BB on there. So yeah, just thread it in there. So while you're traveling or whatever, going back and forth from work, you'll have all these pins in. That way whenever you're pulled up, whenever it's stationary, up like this, pull the wrong one. Whenever it's like this, if you don't have this front pin in here, your brake will just be, or not your brake, your level will just be flopping around and stuff. You don't want that, obviously. So whenever you're traveling, stick that pin in there. It's all nice, snug fit. Obviously, whenever you need to use your leveler, pull this pin out, stick it in your box, whatever, then you can level from there. So once that pin's out, you can use your leveler accordingly. All right, so from there, our hub and spindle is already put together. We did a couple of these in the past. So you're gonna need to cut some of these off. Spindle down, you're gonna wanna leave. We left an inch from the back of our hub. You can do it by 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches to 1 inch, anywhere in there. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here. If you do too much, you go too far out, your brake ain't gonna hit. If you go too far in, you're gonna be hitting the head. So you're gonna be hitting the head of your nuts here. So about 1 1.25 inches is perfect. Make sure you got plenty of clearance there. And on our spindle here, I don't know if you can really tell up in there, but we're just gonna leave a little bit of it sticking through, so that way we can get plenty of good solid weld in there. And we can pull this apart. Yeah, actually, let's pull this apart so that way y'all can get a good idea of what I'm talking about there. You definitely don't want to mess up welding in your spindle. You want to make sure you get it real good and square. If you don't get your spindle real square, you know, it's all going to be just out of whack. So what I'm talking about here, I like to leave a little bit room there. That way you can get a good weld in there. And you can, I mean, if you cut it a little bit long, you can stick it up like that. If you're just doing flat, it's going to be hard to get a lot of penetration on that right there. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of extra there. I didn't do as much as I would have liked. So I'm just gonna eyeball it. Obviously you'd want to throw a square on it, but we're just doing this to help you guys out with putting it together whenever you order your kit. That's pretty good, honestly. Alright, throw all this back together real quick. So in your kit will come with all new pins. We had these handles already cut off, so we wanted a good representation of not having the handles on there. Kind of give it the look there. These pins are grade 8, good quality metal. They're built to withstand the abuse you're going to be putting them through every single day. So get our spacers. So how I like to do it: 2 on the back, slip 2 on, slip your ring on, another one here on the front. It gives you plenty of space for your chuck not to be hitting your dust cap and all your jaws are in. So from here, just throw your bolts in. Make sure your nuts are on the back, further or closest towards your truck, head of the bolt towards the chuck. Nylon lock nuts, all grade 8, definitely gonna hold up. Alright, it's a 19mm socket, fits these. Whatever you got, a wrench or channel locks. And don't just hammer down on one side or you'll get this really lopsided. it'll start pulling that ring around. So kind of down, sort of like you do a car tire. Once you see that all the rings are flush, then you can go ahead and snug them up. Alright, spins real true. Got your brake. I'm not going to crank down on this brake because it's just tacked up. Just to give you an idea. You know, it does hold good and tight. Everything clears. Like I was saying earlier, if you cut this spindle too short and have it too far in there, you're going to hit. Head of your bolts are going to hit. It ain't too big of a deal. You know, if you do that, you know, you can trim the heads of these bolts off, or the end of these bolts if you need to. But just keep it about 1 inch or 1.25 inches. Longer the better. That way, I mean, if you do it too long, you can always shove it back through there a little bit more to give you the clearance that you need. Just make sure that your brake is still going to hit your hub. Alright, so let's go ahead and bolt on our truck. I'm going to pull all this off, just that way we ain't trying to hold that heavy truck up there. That's another good thing about this kit. It breaks down super easy, so if you need to just throw it in your box or whatever, backseat of your truck, underneath your seat, I mean, it breaks down to hardly anything. So over here on our chuck, pretty simple. They all got the same bolt pattern, so you know, unless you get a really off-the-wall chuck, it's gonna match our ring. So from there, make sure all 3 of your bolt holes line up. They are offset a little bit, so you may have to turn it until they line up perfect. Right there it is. Just thread it in. I'm just going to snug these up with some channel locks. Obviously, you want to get a Allen head and actually torque them down pretty good. Alright, so there. Get this heavy sucker back up there. And this is all very doable with one person. If you don't have a boss or something, you know, you can chain clamp it or whatever to your bed. Tack on here, all this weight on there now, it's starting to throw another tack on here real quick. Before you add all this weight to this chuck, I would go ahead and weld everything out. You know, it would really suck to be putting this thing together and it falling apart and crushing your toe or something. Alright, so we kind of screwed up here. Make sure you got your lever wheel in there before you put your chuck and your wheel on. We're going to go ahead and break it down and then come back with this in there. It doesn't clear because we try to give enough space or enough bolt there to give you as much leveling as possible. So we'll come back with this in there and show you how it all works. Now, got our wheel back in there. So pretty much this is how everything's gonna be. You know, everything spins good, spins true, nice good rollout wheel. Alright, so pretty much use here, while you're traveling, whatever, make sure you got this center pin in here. If not, you know, it's going to just really be flopping around and stuff. If you got it up in the carrying position, which would be my point exactly there. So pretty much while you're traveling or whatever, you have it up like this. That way you ain't got to pull it out of your DOS or out of the bed of your truck. So if you got it, this center pin out while you're traveling, it can just be flopping around doing its thing. You got this pin in here though, it's good and steady. Can't flop all the way back. Alright, so obviously 2G position here. Drop it down to a 45. There. Back down horizontal. So working the leveler, pull that center pin out. Work your leveler like you need to. Get everything good and level. Make your welds. That's it. We got kits ready to ship. Once again, $250, shipping and tax all included. I need a chuck, a 4-lug hub, and a 1 1/16 spindle. And we will have information in the description on where to get those, or part numbers, whatever you need. And if you got any questions at all, feel free to holler at me. We're on Facebook, H&K Fabrication of Conway, Arkansas. Give me a call, shoot me a message, whatever you need to do. We take PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and we can do a card also. There is a small fee on card transactions. We got kits ready to ship. Let us know what you need, and we'd be happy to get one sent out. Thank you.